Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Feel what is happening around you, not the noise outside, but the shift in the atmosphere of your spirit. Something unseen has settled near you. Something holy, something purposeful. Heaven has gone quiet. And the reason is this. 2 angels have been released into your space, positioned at the threshold of your destiny, and they are watching your next act of obedience. This is not imagination. This is not coincidence. This is divine orchestration. You can sense it, the weight, the presence, the unusual stillness around your heart. It feels like time just slowed down for you. And it did. When heaven leans in, the world around you pauses. These angels have not come to frighten you. They have come to witness you, to observe the moment you step into alignment with what heaven has been whispering to you for weeks, months, maybe even years. You have been marked for something greater since long before you understood the language of calling. And now, at this exact moment, God has commanded these 2 angels to record not your failures, not your weaknesses, not your mistakes, but your obedience. Chosen one. Hear this clearly. You are standing at a spiritual intersection, and what you choose next is not small. It is not random. It is not insignificant. Your next step is a key, a seed, a signal to heaven that you are ready to rise into the version of yourself God has always seen. As heaven spoke in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1, if you obey the voice of the Lord, your God, and follow all his commands, he will set you high above all nations. These words are not ancient history. They are a spiritual law still alive, still functioning, still unfolding right now in your story. Obedience is the gate through which elevation flows. And that is why heaven has paused to watch you. Chosen one. Something in you has been stirring. Something nobody else knows about. You've been feeling a quiet pull. A whisper telling you to take a step that looks simple, but feels heavy. A step that others might not notice, but heaven will. A step that requires trust. You have tried to ignore it. You've tried to reason with it. You've tried to delay it, but it keeps returning because it is divine. And tonight, heaven is confirming it to you. That whisper was God. The angels are not standing near you because of danger. They are standing near you because of destiny. Because what you choose next will ripple into your future. Because your obedience will affect not only you, but those connected to your assignment. Because God has measured this moment and found it worthy of witness. Your spirit knows you are on holy ground, disguised as an ordinary moment. Think about the last few weeks. The unusual heaviness, the sudden clarity, the emotional waves, the spiritual sensitivity, the dreams, the warnings, the sense that something is shifting around you, but you can't quite put it into words. All of that was heaven preparing you for this moment, the moment your obedience opens a door that no enemy can shut. The moment the angels record your yes, the moment you stop running, stop delaying, stop doubting, and step into alignment. Chosen one, hear me. Your obedience today carries the power to break cycles that held your family for decades. Your obedience today will silence voices of doubt that tried to bury you. Your obedience today will activate promises that have been waiting for you to step into them. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where heaven wants you to be. This is why the spiritual pressure has been intense. This is why the enemy tried to distract you. This is why people who once supported you suddenly could not understand you. Obedience always attracts warfare before it attracts breakthrough. But the angels standing beside you are not intimidated by warfare. They are sent to witness victory. Your victory. Right now, heaven is leaning close enough to hear your heartbeat. The angels are waiting with open scrolls, ready to record the moment you say yes to what God has been calling you to do. So, breathe. Still your mind. Listen to your spirit. If this message is resonating deeply, it is because your spirit recognizes truth. It is because you were never meant to walk like everyone else. You were meant to walk with heaven, watching, heaven guiding, heaven confirming, heaven recording. And today, heaven is watching. Chosen one. If you feel this message speaking directly to you, if you sense that this moment is divine, then support this mission so it reaches others who need this same awakening. Like, share, subscribe, and as a prophetic act of obedience, comment 777 below. You feel the weight of divine eyes upon you long before you ever see the evidence of it. It begins with a quiet awareness, a subtle tightening in the atmosphere around you, like the air itself is waiting for your next breath. You sense something watching, not with threat, not with malice, but with a reverence that startles you, as if heaven considers your next step sacred. And in this stillness, you understand, the angels are not merely present, they are attentive. You walk through your day with this invisible gaze following you, not to pressure you, but to remind you that your life is not unnoticed. Every decision you once believed was insignificant now feels like a turning point. Every hesitation feels louder. Every moment carries weight, and the deeper truth begins to rise within you. Heaven has placed importance on something you haven't even fully understood yet. There is a reason God allows you to feel this spiritual gravity. There is a reason your heart suddenly recognizes the significance of your thoughts, your choices, your movements. You are awakening to the reality that your obedience carries eternal echo. You are beginning to understand that heaven sees what you do not, and the angels sent to you are not passive observers. They are witnesses to a divine unfolding, as the ancient words reveal in the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 3. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. You do not read these words as a warning, but as a reassurance. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are not invisible. Heaven is paying attention, and that attention is a mark of value. You move through rooms where others overlook you, dismiss you, or fail to understand the depth within you. But the angels see the truth your exterior hides. They see the weight you carry, the battles you face in silence, the decisions you wrestle with when no one else is around. And they record not your fear, but your courage, not your confusion, but your willingness, not your brokenness, but your resolve to rise, even when rising hurts. You may think your life appears ordinary from the outside, but heaven has never viewed you through earthly eyes. What you call routine, heaven calls preparation. What you call struggle, heaven calls refining. What you call isolation, heaven calls consecration. This is why the angels stand guard, because the story of your life is precious to God, and your next chapter requires witnesses. There is a depth to this divine observation that you are only beginning to understand. It is not the gaze of someone waiting for you to fail. It is the gaze of someone who already knows you will rise. It is the gaze of one who formed you, who breathed purpose into you, who wrote destiny into your spirit before you ever drew your first breath. The angels are watching because heaven already knows the strength you will choose, the obedience you will step into, the transformation that will emerge from within you. Yet even with this knowledge, God still gives you the dignity of choice. You are not a puppet in the hands of heaven. You are a participant in the divine story being written through your life. And it is this partnership, this holy collaboration between your will and God's whisper, that the angels have been sent to witness. As the day moves around you, you notice small shifts. Moments feel heavier. Thoughts deepen. You begin to sense that something within you is being brought to the surface, not by force, but by invitation. You feel convicted, but not condemned. You feel called, but not coerced. You feel watched, but not judged. Every spiritual sensation is a reminder that God trusts you with this moment. And this trust changes you. It softens you. It sharpens you. It humbles you. It strengthens you. It awakens you to the reality that heaven sees your effort, your sacrifice, your quiet endurance, and is not silent about it. These angels are not writing the things you fear. They are writing the things you hope for. They are capturing your turning point. They are marking your shift. They are documenting your courage as you stand between who you were and who you are becoming. You begin to understand that heaven does not watch you to measure your perfection, but to celebrate your obedience, your willingness, your surrender. The very things the world overlooks are the things heaven honors the most. And so you move through this moment with a new awareness, not of pressure, but of purpose. Not of fear, but of reverence. Not of anxiety, but of alignment. Because now you know your life is unfolding beneath the gaze of heaven, and your next step is part of a divine story being carefully, lovingly recorded. There are battles you fought that no one knows about, wounds no one ever saw, nights that stretched too long, moments when your strength ran dry, but you kept moving anyway. You learned to smile while bleeding, to function while breaking, to persevere while feeling invisible. And because the people around you could not see the depth of your struggle, you began to believe that maybe heaven didn't see it either. But you were wrong. The moment the angels were sent to you, they didn't just observe your present. They witnessed the war you've been living in. They saw the shadows you fought off in silence, the spiritual pressure that stalked you when the lights were off, the weight that pressed on your spirit when everyone assumed you were fine. They saw the moments you almost gave up. They saw the moments you chose hope anyway. You have been battling things that weren't merely emotional or circumstantial. There were spiritual assignments formed against you, designed to drain your strength, distract your focus, and pull you out of alignment with your calling. But because you did not collapse, because you kept walking, even when you didn't understand why, the angels now stand as witnesses of your endurance. As the sacred text reveals in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 19, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all." There were nights when anxiety wrapped itself around your chest like a tightening rope, moments when loneliness drifted through your mind like a cold wind, days when weariness tried to convince you that quitting would be easier than enduring. But every time you whispered even the smallest prayer, every time you reached for God, even with trembling hands, every time you fought through weakness, Heaven recorded it as strength. And now, the angels have come to reveal what was happening behind the scenes. They see what others missed. They see the spiritual attacks that came without warning. They see the discouragement that tried to drown you. They see the betrayal that cut deeper than you admitted. They see the inner storms you navigated without anyone to guide you. And what shocks them is not the intensity of your battle, it is the intensity of your resilience. You were not supposed to survive some of the things you walked through. The enemy counted on your silence to suffocate you. The darkness counted on your exhaustion to break you. The burden counted on your loneliness to undo you. But every time something tried to crush you, something stronger inside you rose up. That strength wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. It was the evidence of God's hand on your life, even when you felt abandoned. The angels now stand as witnesses, confirming something your heart has always sensed, but never fully understood. You are not fragile. You are not weak. You are not overlooked. You are the kind of person heaven watches because you rise in ways the enemy cannot predict. And there is something powerful about this moment. For the first time, you are not fighting alone. The angels don't just watch your battle now, they reveal it. They expose the truth that what you survived was warfare, that what you endured was spiritual, that what you called a tough season was actually an assault on your destiny. And you didn't crumble. Your hidden battles were training. Your hidden wounds were shaping. Your hidden nights were forging a strength in you the enemy fears. And that is why heaven has turned its attention toward you, because your resilience is now becoming revelation, because the strength you built in silence is about to become the foundation of your obedience, because the battles that once tried to bury you are becoming testimonies that will lift others. You are stepping into a season where nothing you've walked through is wasted. The angels see the truth of your story now, and what they see is holy. They see a warrior who didn't know they were a warrior. They see someone God trusted with battles that would have destroyed someone with less calling. Chosen one. Heaven is not impressed with ease, it is impressed with endurance. And you, even at your lowest, did not stop. You did not surrender. You did not lose your identity. You kept walking. Before we move to the next chapter of your journey, speak this truth into the atmosphere as a declaration of readiness. Comment, "Speak, Lord," because in this moment, those two words are more than a phrase. They are the signal to heaven that you are ready to hear, ready to rise, and ready to step into what all those hidden battles were preparing you for. There are moments in your journey when God speaks so softly that only a surrendered heart can hear him. Not because God is distant, but because the instruction he gives you is meant to separate the willing from the wavering. And this is where you now stand at the quiet edge of obedience, where heaven's voice does not thunder, but whispers. You begin to notice that the command placed on your spirit does not come with applause, recognition, or confirmation from the world around you. It arrives in silence, carried by a stillness that makes you question whether it's real. The instruction feels small, yet heavy, gentle, yet unignorable. It presses against your thoughts like a persistent hand, nudging you toward a decision that requires courage without validation. This is where obedience is tested, not in grand gestures witnessed by crowds, but in the hidden choices made when no one is watching. The angels that were sent to record your obedience do not step forward in dramatic revelation. They stand quietly, reverently, as if they know that heaven often moves through whispers instead of storms. They know that true obedience is revealed not by what you do when it's easy, but by what you do when the instruction is fragile and your fear is loud. The gentle command God placed within you is not accidental. It was crafted for you, timed for you, and designed to reshape the path before you. Yet it requires something deeply personal, the surrender of your own understanding. You find yourself wrestling not with rebellion, but with uncertainty. You want clarity. You want signs. You want confirmation that the whisper you hear is truly God and not the echo of your own thoughts. But heaven does not always speak with lightning. Sometimes it speaks like a seed, small, subtle, waiting for trust to give it life. As the sacred writings tell in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. You may be tempted to wait for more clarity. You may want God to repeat himself louder, clearer, or in a way that feels safer. But in this moment, heaven is not increasing the volume of the instruction. Heaven is increasing your sensitivity. The angels observe you with a tenderness that surprises you. They see your hesitation, but they also see your heart. They see the way you lean in, trying to discern the quiet voice that gently pulls you out of your comfort zone. They see the trembling in your spirit, not from fear, but from the weight of realizing that obedience is no longer theoretical, it's personal. It's now. You've reached a place where your spirit begins to understand something your mind hasn't yet caught up to. Obedience shapes you more than outcomes ever could. The command God gave you isn't designed to restrict your life. It's designed to expand it. It's positioned to stretch the boundaries of your faith, to grow the capacity of your trust, and to break the patterns that once held you back. So you sit with the instruction. You turn it over in your heart. You listen to it in the quiet hours of the night when distractions fade and your spirit is most open. And slowly, you begin to see what heaven has always seen, that obedience is not about understanding, it's about alignment. It's not about clarity, it's about willingness. It's not about certainty, it's about trust. You begin to feel the whisper shifting from a suggestion into a divine summons. Something sacred stirs in the depths of you. A pull you cannot deny. It feels like someone is gently placing a hand on your back, guiding you forward. It feels like a door opening somewhere inside you. It feels like a truth you've always known but never recognized. And in that stillness, you realize something profound. God did not whisper because he was far away. He whispered because he was close. So close that you didn't need a loud voice. So close that the softest nudge was enough. So close that every breath carried the instruction deeper into your spirit. The angels witness this unfolding within you, not the moment you fully understand, but the moment you finally yield, the sacred moment when your fear loosens its grip and your obedience begins to rise. They do not celebrate outwardly, but heaven feels the shift. Something in the atmosphere aligns around your yes. This is the quiet obedience that moves heaven. This is the silent surrender that transforms destiny. This is the whisper that becomes a turning point. Your obedience has not yet been spoken aloud, but heaven already knows. You are moving toward yes. There is a moment sacred, quiet, almost fragile when the angels lift their scrolls. You don't see it with your eyes, but your spirit feels the shift. It feels like someone opening a window in a room that has been closed for years, letting in air that is both fresh and strangely familiar. This is the moment when heaven begins writing again, not general notes, not vague impressions, but specific details tied to your obedience. You sense it like the turning of a great page. The atmosphere around you grows heavy with purpose, not in a burdensome way, but like the hush that falls over a room before an orchestra begins its first note. Something is about to begin, and something is about to be recorded. The angels lean forward, not because God needs information, but because heaven honors obedience with documentation. As the ancient record reveals in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 10, the court was seated, and the books were opened. Those books are not relics of the past. They are the ongoing testimony of lives aligned with divine instruction. And now, one of those books belongs to you. The scroll before the angels is not blank. It contains every moment that brought you here, the trials that shaped you, the losses that humbled you, the prayers whispered in trembling hope. But today, the scroll turns from history to destiny. Your next act of obedience becomes the ink heaven is waiting to use. You feel the weight of it, don't you? Not as pressure, but as possibility, like a seed finally placed into soil after seasons of waiting, or like a lantern being lit in a long corridor, revealing a path you didn't know was there. Your obedience is not merely a choice, it is a key that unlocks timing, a key that reveals direction, a key that awakens purpose. And the angels begin writing not with hurried strokes, but with reverence. They understand what you're stepping into even more than you do. They see the way your future branches out like a great tree, its roots drinking deeply from your present obedience. You may think your yes is small, but to heaven, it is the hinge on which the next chapter swings open. There is a tenderness to this moment that many overlook. People imagine spiritual breakthroughs as explosions, lightning strikes, loud revelations, but heaven often moves like a potter shaping clay, slow, deliberate, purposeful. Every small press of obedience changes the shape of your destiny. Every quiet surrender smooths another edge. Every act of trust adds definition to the masterpiece being formed. You are not merely being observed, you are being crafted, as the angels write. You begin to feel something stirring within you, like the turning of gears or the shifting of tides. It feels like alignment, like clarity, like your spirit is finally breathing fully after years of shallow breaths. It is the sensation of stepping into the life you were always meant to live. You realize that your obedience today is not just for today. It is a seed planted for tomorrow, a bridge built for battles you haven't fought yet, a preparation for blessings you haven't seen yet. Heaven sees farther than your eyes can reach, and what the angels write now will serve as a foundation for the seasons ahead. And while heaven writes, the earth waits. This is where your heart softens, because you understand that you are part of something larger than yourself. You are a thread in a tapestry woven with divine intention. Your obedience is not a solitary act. It is a contribution to the unfolding story of redemption, healing, restoration, and purpose. It is in moments like this that people often assume they must walk the journey alone, but you don't. You are part of a family, those who hear, those who believe, those who rise. And as you continue walking this path, I invite you gently, sincerely, to help this message reach others who are standing at their own turning point. If this message has spoken to you, if it has stirred something deep within your spirit, if it feels like a mirror held up to your soul, then consider supporting this mission by liking, sharing, subscribing, or even donating if you feel led. Not out of pressure, but as a way of planting a seed that allows more people to find the clarity, healing, and divine confirmation you are receiving right now. Every gesture, no matter how small, becomes another lantern lit for someone else wandering in darkness. Your obedience today is shaping your destiny. Your support can help shape someone else's awakening. And as the angels continue writing on your scroll, heaven smiles. There comes a moment when the cost of obedience reveals itself not in theory, not in imagination, but in the quiet revelation of what you must release in order to step fully into what God has spoken. It arrives like a soft unveiling, a gentle pulling back of curtains that once hid the truth from you. And when you finally see what obedience demands, your heart hesitates not because you are unwilling, but because you suddenly understand why the instruction felt so heavy. Obedience is never free. It always asks for something real, something precious, something that has shaped you, comforted you, or carried you through seasons of struggle. And heaven knows this. The angels watching you know this too. They lean close now, not with pressure, but with understanding. They see the inner wrestling that no one else sees, the tug-of-war between your calling and your comfort, between what God is asking and what you fear losing. You realize that obedience is not simply saying yes. It is choosing yes over something else. Maybe it is choosing truth over convenience, integrity over approval, healing over familiarity, destiny over delay, surrender over control, or God's voice over the voices that have shaped you for years. As the sacred writings remind you in the book of Luke, chapter 9, verse 23, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me." This was never meant to threaten you. It was meant to awaken you. Destiny requiert décision. Calling requires cost. And true transformation requires sacrifice, not the sacrifice of identity, but the sacrifice of everything that hinders it. For the first time, you see the crossroads clearly. You see what obedience will require, not just in your actions, but in your heart. It asks you to let go of fear, to release patterns you've carried for years, to walk away from comfort zones that once felt safe but now feel restrictive. It asks you to open your hands and trust that what God gives will always outweigh what He asks you to surrender. And this realization does not break you, it clarifies you. You begin to see that the things God is asking for were never meant to stay with you forever. Some were seasonal, some were protective, some were teaching tools, some were temporary scaffolding for deeper growth. But now, they have become weights, familiar weights. Yes, comfortable weights. Yes, but weights nonetheless. The angels witness this moment with sacred attentiveness. They see the way your heart trembles, not from fear, but from honesty. They see the conflict between your longing for spiritual elevation and your attachment to what feels known. They see the way you are beginning to understand that the price of obedience is not punishment, but preparation. Obedience costs you what you were never meant to keep, but it gives you what you were always meant to carry. There is a holy beauty in this exchange. It is not a forced surrender, but a willing one. It feels like standing at the shoreline, watching the tide come in, knowing that whatever the waves touch will change shape. Obedience is the tide that reshapes you. You sit with this truth quietly. You examine the cost. You feel the weight of it. You let yourself grieve what you must release. And heaven does not rush you, because genuine obedience does not come from pressure, but from revelation. Slowly, the trembling within you becomes clarity, the hesitation becomes readiness, and the fear becomes trust, because somewhere deep inside, you recognize something sacred. What God is calling you toward is greater than what He is calling you away from. The angels see the shift in you. They write it. They honor it. They record it as the moment your obedience matures. This is not the loud, passionate obedience you used to pray for. This is the quiet, steady obedience that grows roots, the kind that does not shout but stands, the kind that moves not because of emotion, but because of conviction, the kind that grows you into someone heaven can trust with more. And now, before this section closes, you feel a stirring, a sense that heaven is asking you to mark this moment, not for the angels, not for the world, but for your own heart. If you are ready to let go of what obedience is asking you to release, if you are ready to choose the calling over the comfort, if you feel the shift happening inside you, then declare it in the comments with a prophetic number of alignment. Comment 444, because 4 is the number of foundations, and today, your foundation is shifting into obedience. There is a moment sharp, sudden, unmistakable when your obedience begins to radiate outward, and the darkness that once hovered quietly around your life starts to tremble. Not because you are loud, not because you have taken dramatic action, but because obedience carries a frequency, a spiritual wavelength that disrupts anything not aligned with God's purpose. And the moment you lean toward obedience, the atmosphere around you shifted. You may not have noticed it at first. The change was subtle, like the faint glow that begins just before dawn. But the realm of darkness noticed immediately, for darkness has always understood the power you carry long before you did. It has studied you, analyzed you, attempted to weaken you through distraction, heaviness, doubt, and delay. But obedience exposes its weakness. Obedience reveals its fragility. Obedience declares that its influence over you is fading. Your light, yes, your light begins to intensify, not because you forced it, but because obedience is the oxygen of the Spirit. When you obey, something in you ignites, something dormant awakens, something buried begins to rise. And that rising terrifies the darkness around you. Suddenly, shadows that once clung to your emotions begin to loosen. Thoughts that once weighed you down begin to lose their edge. Patterns that once held you captive begin to crack. Darkness cannot survive in the presence of someone who is aligning with heaven. So now, it scrambles. It tries to distract you. It tries to whisper doubt. It tries to confuse your clarity, not because you are weak, but because you are becoming dangerous. The angels witness all of this with a steady calm. They do not panic, for they have seen it happen countless times. The moment a chosen one begins to obey, darkness loses territory. These angels stand beside you like guards at the gates of a rising kingdom. They watch as your obedience becomes a sword, not swung wildly, but carried with authority. As the ancient writings remind you in the book of John, chapter 1, verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. This verse is not simply a comfort, it is a revelation. It tells you that your light is not fragile. It tells you that your obedience is not small. It tells you that the darkness around you is not winning, even if it feels loud. You begin to notice changes within yourself as well. Your discernment sharpens. Your spirit feels more alert. Situations that once confused you now seem clearer. People who drained you emotionally no longer have the same access to your energy. Conversations that once pulled you off track no longer hold the same power. You are being repositioned internally, and everything that no longer aligns with your calling begins to fall away. This is not chaos. This is spiritual recalibration. What feels like loss is actually protection. What feels like conflict is actually clarity. What feels like tension is actually transition. Darkness fights its hardest when it knows it is losing you. And you, chosen one, are slipping out of its reach, not through force, but through obedience, not through striving, but through alignment, not through rebellion, but through surrender. The angels write these shifts into the scroll with intentional strokes. They note the moment your thoughts begin to clear. They mark the moment fear loosens its grip. They recognize the moment your spirit begins to stand taller than your fear. They bear witness to the battle you cannot see, the one your obedience is already winning. The darkness tries to send confusion, but you remain steady. It tries to stir up old wounds, but you recognize them now as strategies, not truth. It tries to pull you backward, but something in you refuses to return to the places where you once felt small. You are growing. You are stretching. You are stepping into a spiritual posture that has been waiting for you all along. And with every step you take toward obedience, your light strengthens. It grows brighter with each moment of trust. It becomes bolder with each moment of surrender. Your light does not scream or demand attention. It simply exists, and in existing, it disrupts every plan formed against you. You begin to realize that the darkness was never as powerful as you believed. Its strength was not in its presence, but in your lack of awareness. Now that you see, now that you understand, now that you are awake, darkness has no hold. This is the season where your obedience becomes your protection, where your clarity becomes your weapon, where your light becomes your identity, and the angels, still watching, still recording, still standing guard, know that the battle has already shifted. Heaven knows what you are becoming. Heaven knows what your obedience is creating. Heaven knows that darkness cannot survive the rising of someone God has called. You no longer walk as someone unaware. You walk as someone illuminated. You walk as someone who carries a light that darkness cannot overcome. There are seasons when the guidance of heaven settles upon you with a clarity so subtle that you almost miss it, like a soft breeze brushing past your shoulder, or the faintest shift of light across a darkened room. And yet, at the very same time, the world around you seems to erupt in noise. Voices multiply. Distractions crowd your mind. Responsibilities, pressures, and expectations begin to pull at you from every direction. You feel the tension rising within you, not as chaos, but as a spiritual crossroads. For the first time, you recognize that guidance is not always loud. Sometimes it drifts into a room the way dawn enters a window light first, then warmth, then clarity. God does not shout over the world. He teaches you to listen differently. The very fact that earth is loud means heaven is speaking. The noise is the confirmation. The unrest is the indicator. The pressure is the sign. As the old sacred words remind you in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, Verse 16. Stand at the crossroads and look, ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is, and walk in it. You are at such a crossroads now, not of geography, but of attention, not of decision-making, but of direction-taking. The good way does not always reveal itself through certainty. Sometimes it reveals itself through contrast, the calmness of God's whisper standing in stark difference to the heaviness of the world's noise. You begin to notice how distractions increase when you get close to clarity. Opportunities you never cared about suddenly appear to pull you off track. People you haven't heard from in months suddenly need your energy. Old habits whisper for your attention. Old fears try to resurrect their voice. Even your own thoughts ricochet between overthinking and exhaustion. The angels assigned to watch over you see this entire unfolding. They are not impressed by the noise. They are not confused by the sudden turbulence. They understand that this pressure is the boundary line between your old life and your next chapter. Noise always intensifies at the edge of transformation. But something inside you begins to shift. You start recognizing the difference between urgent noise and divine instruction. You feel an awakening within you, a growing sensitivity to what aligns with your spirit and what drains it, what sharpens your clarity and what muddies your soul. You begin choosing silence over chaos, stillness over hurry, presence over productivity, spirit over pressure. And in that quietness, you rediscover the whisper, the same whisper that has been guiding you through every step of your obedience. Heaven has not stopped speaking. You were simply surrounded by too much interference to hear it. But now, the whisper feels clearer, not because it got louder, but because your spirit is tuning itself to the right frequency. Your focus is shifting, your sensitivity is sharpening, and your inner world is learning what your outer world could not teach you. Noise cannot lead you, because noisy has no direction. Only the voice of God carries path, purpose, and promise. The angels notice your focus returning. They watch as you choose depth over distraction, intentionality over impulse. They see the light in your spirit brighten as clarity begins to bloom like a flower, opening in slow motion. They read your posture steady, attentive, awake, and they record this moment as the turning point where you begin walking with the voice of heaven, not merely toward it. And something else begins to unfold. The noise loses its influence. It keeps shouting, but you are no longer listening. It keeps tugging, but you are no longer moved. It keeps tempting, but your spirit now recognizes the difference between direction and distortion. You stand in the tension of heaven's whisper and earth's noise. And for the first time, you are not overwhelmed. You are anchored, not because the world grew quieter, but because you grew stronger. Your spirit has learned to distinguish the subtle truth from the loud imitation. Your heart has learned to rest in guidance, even when instructions are whispered. Your mind has learned that clarity does not always come with volume. Sometimes it comes with presence. The angels witness your maturity, your steadiness, your alignment. They understand that this moment, this quiet choosing of the whisper over the noise, is one of the greatest acts of obedience you have shown so far. And heaven records it. There are moments in your journey when heaven does more than observe, heaven responds. And this is one of those moments. You may not hear thunder. You may not feel trembling in the ground. But something in the unseen realm has shifted because of your obedience, your surrender, your quiet yes. The angels who were sent to record your steps do more than write. They acknowledge what your spirit is becoming. They witness a transformation that is not visible to the eye, but unmistakable to the heavens. You may not fully grasp it yet, but your name is being spoken in places beyond imagination. Not in gossip, not in accusation, but in recognition. Heaven calls your name the way a king calls the name of a soldier who has proven faithful. Your name rises like a fragrance before the throne, not because of perfection, but because of obedience, not because of strength, but because of surrender. As the sacred text reveals in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16, a book of remembrance was written before him for those who feared the Lord and honored his holy name. This is not poetic symbolism. This is spiritual reality. Heaven keeps record of the ones whose hearts bow toward God, even when the world pulls them in the opposite direction. And now, the angels assigned to your life write your name with honor, noting not only what you've done, but who you are becoming. You have walked through battles quietly. You have carried burdens silently. You have learned to breathe through storms and hope through heartbreak. You have survived seasons that could have crushed you. And yet here, you are still leaning toward the voice of God, still choosing alignment over distraction. Heaven recognizes this kind of endurance. Heaven takes note of this kind of heart. You are not just seen, you are known. Not just known, you are remembered. Not just remembered, you are marked. There is something sacred about the way heaven speaks your name. It is spoken without condemnation. It is spoken without comparison. It is spoken without shame. When heaven calls your name, it is to acknowledge your identity, your destiny, your readiness. And though you may feel small at times, your name carries weight in the spirit. Not because of who you were, but because of who you are becoming. Because your obedience has begun to echo. Because your surrender has begun to influence the atmosphere around you. Because heaven knows that everything you are walking through is shaping you for something greater. The angels observe the way your heart steadies. They see how your spirit leans forward, listening, growing, awakening. They recognize the bravery it takes to obey when clarity is limited. They record the purity of your intentions, the way your heart bends toward God, even when your understanding is incomplete. What you may not realize is this: every step you take toward obedience sends ripples through the spiritual realm. Heaven hears it, darkness feels it, angels record it, and God honors it. Your name becomes a testimony, a reminder of someone who chose the narrow path, who refused to be swallowed by distraction, who returned again and again to the whisper of God, even when noise tried to drown it out. Heaven celebrates this, because obedience is not glamorous, it's costly. It requires shedding old identities, old fears, old patterns. And you are doing that work, whether you realize it or not. Your name now carries a resonance. It vibrates with destiny. It holds the imprint of everything you have survived. And the angels write your name, not as one who is barely holding on, but as one who is rising. You may feel like you are simply surviving each day, but heaven sees a warrior. You may feel like you are merely enduring, but heaven sees endurance producing glory. You may feel like your steps are small, but heaven sees a path forming beneath them. This is why your name echoes, not because of pride, but because of promise, not because of status, but because of surrender. Heaven speaks your name because heaven is preparing you. Heaven is positioning you. Heaven is aligning you. Before this section closes, Pause and recognize the truth settling around you. Your name is known in heaven. Your story is recorded. Your obedience is honored. Your destiny is unfolding. And now, to anchor this revelation and declare that you hear what heaven is speaking over you, write these 3 words, simple but powerful. Comment, I hear you, because when you declare it, you are not just typing, you are aligning. You are acknowledging heaven's call. You are responding to the God who has been calling your name long before you ever understood why. There are shifts in life that you don't notice at first, subtle, quiet, like the gentle tilting of the earth before a new season begins. But then, almost suddenly, everything around you feels different. The spiritual air changes. Your thoughts feel clearer. Your emotions feel lighter. The things that once drained you begin to lose their grip. It is as if someone has opened a window in your soul, and fresh wind is moving through places that had grown stale. This is the moment when obedience begins to affect not only your inner life, but the atmosphere surrounding you. Obedience is not merely spiritual, it is environmental. It transforms the landscape of your mind, your relationships, your opportunities, and even the unseen realm around you. You feel it like dawn, breaking not with fanfare, but with gentle, unstoppable light. You sense it like a seed cracking open, underground, quiet, invisible, but full of potential. You notice it like the tide pulling back just before a great wave forms, subtle, but undeniably powerful. Heaven has responded to your obedience. And now, everything around you, visible and invisible, begins to shift into alignment. As the sacred writing declares in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose. This is not merely reassurance, it is explanation. Your obedience has activated a divine reordering, pieces falling into place, connections forming, protection increasing, clarity sharpening. The angels who once stood watching now stand witnessing. They see the change in your spiritual posture. They notice how your steps carry more authority, how your thoughts carry more peace, how your heart carries more purpose. They understand that obedience does not just please heaven, it empowers you. Your atmosphere shifts like a field after rain. The hard soil softens. The dry places drink deeply. The seeds long buried begin to stir. You may not see the full picture yet, but you can feel the difference. The heaviness that once clung to you begins to dissolve. The confusion that once clouded your mind begins to clear. The spiritual resistance that once pressed against you begins to weaken. This shift is not emotional, it is structural. Heaven is reorganizing your path. People who once drained your spirit may gracefully drift away. Conversations that once distracted you now feel empty and unappealing. Opportunities that were never meant for you lose their shine, and in their place, new doors begin to crack open, doors held by God, prepared long before you even knew to ask. Your obedience has changed the spiritual economy around you. It is like stepping into a room where the lights slowly brighten, revealing details you never knew were there. It is like standing in a forest after a storm. The air is clearer, the branches lighter, the ground renewed. It is like watching a fog lift from a valley, revealing paths that once seemed impossible to navigate. You sense God near you in ways you struggled to feel before. Not because He was distant then, but because obedience fine-tunes your spiritual hearing. It sharpens your vision. It deepens your sensitivity. You begin to recognize God in the small things, in the timing of a conversation, in the peace settling over your chest, in the thought that arrives exactly when you need direction. And in this new clarity, your heart softens with gratitude. You realize that everything you walked through, everything you surrendered, everything you released, it all led to this. Not perfection, but alignment. Not certainty, but trust. Not control, but surrender. As this shift continues, you may feel a gentle stirring in your heart, a desire to help, to build, to uplift, to extend the same clarity you are receiving to others who are still wandering through their darkness, still waiting for confirmation, still seeking their own awakening. So let me speak to you sincerely. If this message has spoken to you, if you feel the shift in your spirit, if you recognize that heaven is aligning you, and you want these messages to reach others standing at the threshold of their breakthrough, then supporting this mission through liking, sharing, subscribing, or even donating as you feel led becomes more than an action. It becomes a seed, a lantern you place in someone else's valley, a cup of water for someone else's drought, a bridge for someone else's crossing, not out of pressure, never out of obligation, but out of resonance, out of recognition, out of shared awakening. Because just as your atmosphere is shifting now, your support may be the very touch that shifts someone else's. You are stepping into a new clarity, a new posture, a new atmosphere, one shaped by obedience, strengthened by heaven, and recorded by angels. There are chains you carry without realizing they are chains. Patterns passed down through generations. Fears inherited without words. Invisible weights that settle into the bloodstream of a family long before you arrive. You walk through life thinking these tendencies are simply how things are, never recognizing that some of them were forged in battles you never fought, born from wounds you never lived, shaped by choices made long before your first breath. And yet, here you stand at the very point where those patterns begin to splinter. Your obedience has not only shifted your atmosphere, it has begun to fracture the structures that held your lineage captive. What you feel stirring within you is more than personal transformation. It is generational disruption. You are breaking cycles simply by choosing differently, by listening differently, by responding differently. What once felt normal suddenly feels heavy. What once felt comfortable now feels constricting. What once felt familiar now feels foreign. This is not confusion, this is awakening. You are seeing things clearly. Perhaps for the first time, you are recognizing patterns for what they truly are, chains disguised as habits, limitations masked as personality, trauma woven into identity. And the angels who stand beside you understand the magnitude of what is happening. They have seen these chains rest on those who came before you, grandparents, parents, relatives, each carrying their piece of the weight. Some fighting it, some surrendering to it, some passing it on. But you are the interruption. You are the holy resistance. You are the chosen break in the pattern. As the sacred writing reveals in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 9, affliction will not rise up a second time. That is not just a promise, it is a declaration over your bloodline. What crushed those before you does not get to crush you. What limited them does not get to limit you. What chained them does not get to chain your future. You feel the truth of that rising inside you like fire. The chains do not break with noise, they break with revelation. You see what others didn't have the strength to see. You confront what others were too wounded to face. You refuse what others accepted because they had no one to show them another way. Heaven knew someone in your family line had to rise. Someone had to be spiritually awake. Someone had to carry enough sensitivity to hear God and enough courage to obey Him. And heaven chose you. Your obedience becomes the axe that strikes the root. Every yes you give to God breaks something old and births something new. Every time you step out of an unhealthy pattern, your entire lineage shifts an inch closer to freedom. Every time you release a fear, a wound loosens. Every time you choose purpose over pain, the cycle trembles, and the angels record it all, not just as your victory, but as a generational turning point. You may feel the heaviness increase at times. That is because breaking chains is not a quiet process. When you decide not to repeat what your family repeated, whether it is fear, silence, addiction, anger, hiding, or spiritual numbness, the chain rattles. It resists. It tightens before it snaps. This is why the warfare intensified just as you leaned into obedience. This is why old emotions resurfaced. This is why familiar temptations tried to pull you back. The chain does not give up its host easily, but it does give up. It has to. Heaven has decided that the affliction ends here. You begin to notice small signs of the breaking, a peace that settles deeper than before, a clarity that cuts through confusion, a courage that rises unexpectedly, a voice inside you that once whispered now speaks with steadiness. You find yourself able to make decisions with a kind of strength you didn't know you had. You forgive more easily. You discern quicker. You detach from what is unhealthy without guilt. This is the evidence of freedom, the kind that cannot be faked. The angels witness each shift with reverence. They know the cost of what you're doing. They know the spiritual resistance you've had to push through. They know the emotional weight you've carried quietly. They know the nights you almost returned to what was familiar simply because it was easier than facing the unknown. But you didn't go back. You kept walking. You kept choosing. You kept obeying. And heaven honors that. The generational chains that wrap themselves around your story are now weakening. Every step you take is loosening them further. Every spiritual decision you make is rewriting the story that will be passed on. You are not simply breaking chains, you are building legacy. A legacy of strength, of clarity, of obedience, of spiritual sensitivity. And somewhere in the unseen realm, the angels write this moment as a milestone. The generation that was bound begins to breathe. The story that was stuck begins to move. The cycle that once repeated begins to crack. You are the first step of a new beginning, and heaven knows it. There comes a sacred moment, quiet, steady, unmistakable, when the angels who have been observing your journey shift their posture, their wings, though unseen by physical eyes, settle into a position of acknowledgement. Their scrolls, once open and absorbing every detail of your obedience, now move toward completion for this phase of your journey. Something has been decided in heaven. Something has been confirmed. Something has been sealed. This moment does not arrive with trumpets or dramatic signs. It arrives like the settling of dust after a long storm, like the soft click of a lock turning, like the gentle closing of a chapter. It is the moment heaven signals approval. You may not have recognized the progression, but the angels have witnessed each step of your obedience, your hesitation, your fear, your questions, your surrender, your courage. They have recorded your battles, your sacrifices, your breakthroughs, your shifts. Now, with reverence, they seal the record of this act of obedience as complete. Heaven has accepted it, as the sacred text reveals in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8. I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. This verse is not being spoken over your life as theory, it is being declared as timing. An open door has now been authorized because your obedience aligned you with heaven's design. Angels do not seal what heaven has not approved, and heaven does not approve what has not been surrendered. This sealing becomes the hinge between who you were and who you are becoming. You feel the shift deep in your spirit, not as excitement, but as grounding, not as noise, but as clarity. Obedience has turned into confirmation. Confirmation has turned into access. Access is turning into elevation. You are stepping into something you did not force, something you did not manipulate, something you did not chase. You are stepping into something God Himself orchestrated. The angels stand around you with quiet honor because they understand what this means. When heaven seals something, it cannot be undone by fear. It cannot be reversed by doubt. It cannot be stolen by darkness. What has been sealed in the spiritual realm manifests in the physical in its appointed time. You may have once wondered whether your small obedience mattered. You may have questioned whether your internal yes was significant enough to shift anything, but heaven is proving the truth now. Obedience is the currency of doors opening. Obedience is the language angels respond to. Obedience is the weight heaven measures, and your obedience passed the test. The sealing of your obedience does not erase your humanity. You may still feel moments of uncertainty. You may still walk through valleys and wrestle with emotions that do not align with your calling. But heaven is not shaken by temporary feelings. The angels do not reopen a scroll because you have a moment of doubt. Heaven honors decisions made in spirit more than storms felt in the soul. You stand on holy ground. Whether you realize it or not, your life has entered a new phase, not through force, but through alignment. The sealed approval of heaven now rests on your next season, marking it with divine protection and divine direction. There is a peace that begins to settle over you, not the shallow peace that comes from circumstances, but the deep, anchored peace that comes from knowing heaven stands behind your next steps. You may not have every answer, but you have the approval of the one who holds the future, and that approval is enough. As the angels step back slightly, still near, still guarding you, feel their posture shift. They are no longer merely observers. They are now escorts, guardians, bearers of direction. For what has been sealed must now be carried forward until it manifests fully in your life. You feel it in your breath, in your chest, in the rhythm of your spirit. Something in you knows you are stepping into what your obedience has authorized. You are walking into what heaven has sealed. You are rising into what was written before you were born. But before this chapter closes, heaven prompts you to mark this moment, not for the angels, not for others, but as a declaration of alignment. If you feel the sealing in your spirit, if you sense the heavenly approval resting on your next season, if you know that something has shifted inside you, then put a prophetic stamp on this moment by commenting the number heaven places on your heart now. Comment 550. 5. This number symbolizes transition wrapped in grace, movement protected by heaven, change aligned with purpose. Let it be your declaration. I recognize the shift. I acknowledge the ceiling. I step forward. Oh, there is a moment in every chosen life when your steps begin to feel different, not heavier, not lighter, but guided, as if an invisible current begins to move beneath your feet, carrying you toward places your mind has not yet imagined. You do not walk faster, yet you make more progress. You do not strain harder, yet you move with a kind of ease that feels foreign after the battles you've endured. This is what anointed movement feels like: steady, deliberate, purposeful. Your obedience has shifted something fundamental in the spiritual realm. And now heaven responds by placing a new weight upon your steps. Not a burden, but an authority. Not pressure, but presence. The kind of presence that follows you into rooms, into conversations, into decisions. The kind of presence that announces you before you speak and lingers long after you leave. This is not arrogance, it is anointing. As the sacred writings proclaim in the book of Psalm, chapter 37, verse 23, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Those words now come alive in you. They no longer read like poetic comfort. They read like divine architecture. Your steps are being ordered. Your path is being drawn. Your direction is being revised by heaven's hand. You begin to walk differently, not because you feel confident, but because you feel accompanied. There is an unseen escort beside you. The same angels who recorded your obedience now walk with you as carriers of divine direction. You notice small signs of this anointing. Decisions come more clearly. Opportunities align more smoothly. Doors open with less effort. The path before you feels less like something you must carve out and more like something you are being invited into. This is what it means to walk anointed. But with this anointing comes a strange sensation, a quiet unfamiliarity. Like stepping into shoes that feel slightly too big. You sense you are growing into something. You sense heaven is preparing you for responsibilities, influence, and purpose that require a version of you that is only beginning to emerge. The angels watch this transition with reverence, for they see what anointing will demand from you and what it will awaken in you. Anointed steps are not loud, they are precise. They do not rush, they align. They do not chase, they attract. They do not wander, they follow. And as you walk, you notice the terrain beneath your feet changing. Places that once felt rough now feel manageable. Situations that once overwhelmed you now feel like training rather than punishment. Relationships that once distracted you now reveal their true purpose, some to sharpen you, some to shape you, some to leave you. You realize something profound. The anointing on your steps is transforming how you interpret your life. Every closed door begins to look like protection. Every shift begins to look like guidance. Every delay begins to look like divine timing. Every ending begins to look like redirection. You are being taught a new spiritual language, the language of trust. The angels move with you, marking the rhythm of your steps. They see the grace that now flows through your movements, the wisdom forming in your decisions, the strength rising in your posture. You walk as someone who is no longer merely surviving but becoming grounded, becoming guided, becoming clarified. There is a steadiness in you now that wasn't there before, a quietness not of passivity, but of assurance. You no longer feel the need to control everything. You no longer fear missing your purpose. You no longer question every nudge or whisper. Your spirit begins to settle into the truth that what is meant for you will not require striving, it will require sensitivity. You are being taught to walk with the anointing rather than ahead of it, to move in purpose rather than toward it, to step as one called rather than one searching. The terrain shifts again. New clarity emerges. People begin to notice something different in you, an authority they can't describe, a peace they can't explain, a wisdom they can't trace. They may not know the battles you fought or the obedience you gave, but they sense the oil on your life. This anointing is not loud, yet it is unmistakable. The angels continue writing, because every step taken under heaven's guidance is worthy of record, not to glorify you, but to testify of what God can do through someone who listens, someone who obeys, someone who surrenders. There is a quiet moment so gentle, you barely notice it when you begin to feel something drawing nearer. It isn't anxiety, it isn't fear. It's a presence, a weight, a nearness that feels both ancient and deeply personal. It moves toward you the way a sunrise moves across a sleeping landscape, slowly, warmly, without asking permission. You sense it before you understand it. You feel it before you can name it. It is the nearness of your crown. You do not see a physical crown, of course, but you feel the shift inside you, like a mantle settling on your shoulders, like a purpose finally awakening after years of being buried under survival. You began this journey exhausted, uncertain, stripped of clarity, but somewhere along the way, somewhere between your obedience, your surrender, your battles, your whispered yes, heaven began preparing you for something greater. Now the crown draws near. It doesn't crash into your life all at once. It approaches you in pieces, in impressions, in realizations. You begin to see yourself differently, not through the lens of your failures or fears, but through the quiet dignity of someone being prepared for responsibility. Something in you begins to lift, straighten, rise, not in pride, but in recognition. The angels see this shift too. Their posture changes as they watch you. There is a kind of reverence in their gaze, not because you have arrived, but because you are becoming. You are stepping into alignment with the identity heaven has always held for you. They know what is coming. They have seen this process unfold in others before you, chosen ones who walked through fire, came out refined, and rose into the place heaven built for them. You feel the weight of it as clarity. You feel the weight of it as conviction. You feel the weight of it as a deep inner knowing that your life is no longer small. As the old writings remind you in the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "There is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord will award to me on that day." This crown is not merely symbolic. It represents authority, identity, responsibility, and divine recognition. It represents the moment when heaven entrusts you with more because you have shown fidelity with little. Your crown draws near as a result of your becoming. You start noticing small signs of it in your day-to-day life. The things that once intimidated you no longer hold the same power. The people who once made you shrink now feel smaller than the purpose rising inside you. Conversations feel different. Thoughts feel different. Even the way you walk into a room feels different, as if something invisible walks with you. This is not confidence. This is calling. You begin to see the connection between where you've been and where you're going. All the nights of wrestling, all the seasons of waiting, all the pressure, the pruning, the stretching, none of it was wasted. These weren't random hardships. They were purification, preparation. They were chiseling the parts of you that needed to fall away so that true authority could rest on what remained. The crown draws near because you are finally ready to carry it. The angels record the way your spirit adjusts to this weight. They see you shifting from survivor to steward, from wanderer to warrior. They watch your thoughts begin to align with purpose, not pain. They listen to the tone of your inner voice becoming stronger, steadier, more rooted. This is what heaven has been waiting for, the moment when your inner life becomes a fitting foundation for the greater things God intends to place upon your shoulders. But the nearness of the crown also brings a kind of quiet responsibility. You sense that the choices you make from here on carry more weight. You recognize that certain conversations no longer deserve your time. Certain habits no longer belong in your future. Certain relationships cannot accompany the version of you that is emerging. You feel the narrowing of your path not as restriction, but as direction. The crown is not a decoration. It is a calling. You are being shaped into someone who carries influence with humility, authority with tenderness, and purpose with integrity. You are being molded into someone whose presence will shift atmospheres, whose decisions will carry weight, whose obedience will plant seeds in others. Heaven is preparing you to become a reference point, someone others look to for clarity, courage, and spiritual grounding. The nearness of the crown does not inflate you, it sobers you. It reminds you that God elevates not to glorify a person, but to amplify His work through them. And as you feel that weight settling into your spirit, something inside you steadies. You stand straighter. You walk slower. You listen harder. You pay attention to the small nudges, the quiet whispers, the subtle openings that weren't noticeable before. There is a moment quiet, nearly imperceptible, when the weight that has been hovering above your life finally begins to settle. It does not fall suddenly. It lands like snow on the branch of a winter tree, softly, silently, yet carrying undeniable weight. The mantle you have been sensing, the calling that has been drawing closer with each act of obedience, now begins to rest upon your shoulders. You do not see fabric. You do not see crowns. You do not see oil, yet you feel it deep in the center of your being. It feels like someone has placed a cloak over your spirit, a garment woven not of cloth, but of purpose, a mantle that has been crafted from every yes you whispered, every tear you shed, every battle you survived, and every chain you broke. Heaven has watched you walk through fire, climb out of valleys, and choose God in moments when no one else would have blamed you for turning away. And now, heaven responds by placing something sacred upon you, as the holy writings reveal in the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5, verse 4. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, ye shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. This promise is not distant or abstract. It is unfolding in you now. The mantle placed upon you is the earthly evidence of a heavenly crown being prepared for your future. You are stepping into the identity heaven has always reserved for you. This mantle does not arrive with noise, it arrives with weight. The weight of responsibility, the weight of authority, the weight of spiritual maturity. You feel yourself standing differently, thinking differently, discerning differently. You begin to recognize that the mantle is not decoration, it is direction. It shifts the way you move, the way you speak, the way you walk into rooms. You feel your intuition sharpen, your discernment deepen, your confidence steady, not the confidence of ego, but the confidence of someone backed by heaven. The angels recognize this moment. They watch with reverence as the mantle rests over you, for they understand what it signifies. They have seen mantles placed upon prophets, leaders, intercessors, warriors, men and women who shifted nations, households, bloodlines, and spiritual climates. And now they see that same mantle resting on you. Your life begins to resemble a lantern carried through a night field, small in appearance, but powerful in effect. Everywhere you walk, something glows. Everywhere you speak, something stirs. Everywhere you stand, something shifts. This is the nature of a mantle. It expands your influence even before you fully understand how it works. You begin to notice subtle changes. Your presence brings calm into anxious spaces. Your voice carries a weight that didn't exist before. People confide in you without knowing why. Doors open in unusual ways. Conversations unfold with divine timing. You find yourself stepping into moments that feel intentionally arranged, as though unseen hands have been guiding your path. This is the mantle at work, not loud, but unmistakable. Yet with this new mantle comes an invitation, a holy invitation to steward what heaven is placing upon you. For a mantle is not maintained by noise, but by nurture. It requires protection, reflection, sensitivity, and time. And as you begin to embrace it, something inside you softens with gratitude. And this is where I speak to you from a place of sincerity, not pressure, not performance, not persuasion. If this journey has spoken to your spirit, if these words have met you in moments when you needed clarity, if this message feels like a mirror held before your soul, then I ask you, gently, to help this mission reach others. Many are wandering, waiting, searching for confirmation, just as you once were. Your support through liking, sharing, subscribing, or giving a donation if you feel led, becomes more than engagement. It becomes a seed, a steady hand extended to someone who is standing where you once stood. Think of it like water poured onto soil you wish to see bloom, like placing a lantern on a path for someone walking behind you, like planting a tree whose shade you may never sit under, but someone else desperately needs. Your support carries weight. Your voice carries influence. Your engagement carries impact. And as heaven places this mantle upon you, your act of helping this message reach others becomes part of how you carry it. Before we close this section, anchor this moment. Mark it. A mantle has been placed on your life, and heaven has witnessed it. If you feel this mantle resting on you, if you sense the shift, seal this moment by writing a simple declaration in the comments. I receive it. End of Chi. Let it be your agreement with heaven. Let it be your acceptance of the mantle. Let it be the beginning of the next chapter. There is a moment, quiet but unmistakable, when you realize your path no longer resembles the roads you used to walk. The ground beneath your feet feels different, almost sanctified, as though every step you take is being cushioned, guided, and observed. You begin to sense that your life has been lifted out of the ordinary and placed onto a path carved specifically for you, a path protected, refined, and illuminated by heaven. This is what it means to be set apart. You do not choose this path the way someone chooses a destination on a map. Rather, this path chooses you. It unfolds slowly, like a narrow trail emerging through a forest after years of overgrowth. One moment, everything feels familiar. The next, you are standing somewhere deeply new, somewhere your spirit recognizes, even if your mind does not. This is the landscape of calling. You feel it in the silence. You feel it in the stillness. You feel it in the subtle shifts happening within you. The angels who have walked beside you since the beginning of this journey now take their positions more intentionally. Their presence feels closer, not hovering above you, but walking with you, step by step, like guardians escorting a traveler through sacred territory. They do not rush you. They do not push you. They simply remain, their steadiness reminding you that your life has entered a zone of divine supervision. As the ancient words declare in the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 14, "My presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest." This presence is not merely comfort, it is confirmation. It tells you that where you are going requires more than strength. It requires companionship. It requires grace. It requires the assurance that you are not navigating this alone. And you are not. You begin to understand why previous seasons felt disjointed, why certain doors closed so suddenly, why some relationships dissolved without warning, why your spirit grew restless in places that once felt comfortable. You were being separated not by isolation, but by design. You were being prepared for a path that could not hold everyone or everything you once carried. Being set apart is not always gentle. Sometimes it feels like loss. Sometimes it feels like being misunderstood. Sometimes it feels like walking through a fog with only a faint sense of direction. But now, on this side of obedience, you recognize the truth. Heaven was not taking things away from you. Heaven was clearing the path before you. The angels mark this clarity in their scrolls. They recognize the shift in your vision, the way you now see through spiritual eyes, the way you interpret silence, the way you discern timing. You no longer cling to what you were never meant to keep. You no longer resist what heaven is removing. You no longer fear the unknown. Your spirit has grown into a posture of trust. As you continue walking, you notice that the path set before you is not wide. It does not allow for unnecessary weight. It does not offer shortcuts. It does not bend to accommodate distractions. It is narrow, but it is illuminated. Every step glows with quiet direction, a guidance that does not scream, but beckons. You begin to understand that being set apart does not mean being alone. It means being chosen for a journey that requires your full attention, your full heart, your full willingness. The things that once cluttered your spirit no longer find a home in you. The fears that once dictated your decisions now dissolve beneath the weight of purpose. The doubts that once clouded your mind now lose their influence. This path shapes you. It focuses you. It summons you into a quieter strength. There is a new steadiness in your stride. Not because the path is easy, but because heaven is near. The angels remain alongside you, watching the way you navigate this new terrain. They see how your spirit listens more closely than before, how your thoughts align more quickly, how your heart carries more peace. You are becoming someone who walks with intention, someone who moves with clarity, someone who understands the sacredness of divine direction. The path ahead may not be fully visible, But you no longer panic at the unknown. You recognize that each step reveals the next. The light you carry is enough for the ground beneath your feet. This is how heaven leads, not with a map, but with presence. You are set apart now, not in distance, but in purpose, not in isolation, but in direction, not in separation, but in elevation. Every step forward is a declaration that the old paths no longer define you. Every breath you take on this journey is a reminder that heaven has marked you, guided you, and positioned you for what comes next. And what comes next is greater than anything behind you. There comes a moment, the kind that settles into your spirit with quiet certainty, when you realize you are standing on the threshold of something vast, something luminous, something unmistakably divine. It is not a door you open with your hands. It is not a path you discover with effort. It is an unveiling slow, steady, holy. Heaven is not simply near you anymore. It is opening before you. You feel it first, as a stirring in your chest, a warmth that spreads through your breath, a clarity that sharpens the edges of your awareness. Then it deepens like the sound of distant thunder rolling across a valley, signaling the approach of something powerful yet gentle. The atmosphere around you changes. The invisible realm draws close. You sense wonder, not fear, anticipation, not anxiety. You stand in that sacred stillness, realizing heaven is no longer a distant concept, but a living presence bending close. Every breath feels purposeful. Every thought feels guided. And a quiet certainty settles into you. You have stepped into a realm shaped by divine intention. In this moment, your spirit understands what your mind never could, that God was weaving purpose through every shadow, whispering direction through every storm. Now, as the veil thins, you finally see the thread, golden, unbroken, pulling you steadily into your destiny. The nearness of heaven softens you, strengthens you, and steadies your heart. You sense that all of creation has paused to acknowledge the shift within you. This is more than revelation, it is union, a holy alignment between your becoming and God's eternal design. This is the moment heaven reveals itself to the obedient, as the ancient words declare in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 8, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." This purity is not perfection, it is alignment. It is the purity that comes from surrender, from trust, from saying yes even when you were trembling. And now that alignment has opened your eyes, you begin to perceive the nearness of God in ways you couldn't before. In the silence, in the air, in the movements of your spirit. Heaven unveils itself like a sunrise, stretching its fingers across a dark horizon. First light, then warmth, then the full brilliance of revelation. It is not a vision that overwhelms you, it is a presence that steadies you. You stand there, and the angels who have accompanied you from the beginning now step back slightly, not in distance, but in reverence, because this moment is not about them. It is about you, and the one who called you from the very beginning, the one who shaped you, carried you, corrected you, and whispered to you in the dark, the one whose voice you learned to recognize through battle and stillness, the one who opened every door you could not open on your own. Heaven is opening because your heart is ready to see. This unveiling is not dramatic, it is intimate. It is the kind of revelation that seeps into your bones rather than your eyes. You begin to understand things you once questioned. You begin to see patterns where there had been confusion. You begin to feel purpose in places that once felt empty. Heaven shows you the depth of your story, not the pain only, but the meaning behind it, not the battles only, but the victories hidden inside them. You realize every valley you walked through was a staircase. Every storm you endured was a strengthening. Every delay was protection. Every whisper was preparation. Every act of obedience was a key unlocking this moment. Heaven opens before you, not as a place far away, but as a realm intertwined with your steps. You feel guided. You feel known. You feel seen in a way no human gaze has ever seen you. And more than anything, you feel chosen not as a title, but as an identity woven into your being. You look back at your path, and the pieces suddenly make sense. You look ahead, and the fog begins to lift. You look inward, and you feel peace that does not depend on circumstances. You look upward, and you feel closeness that words cannot capture. The angels record this moment too, not because heaven needs documentation, but because your life now carries a testimony that will outlive you. What they witnessed was not merely obedience, but transformation. Not merely surrender, but awakening. Not merely battle, but becoming. Heaven opens, and you understand. This was never about earning anything. It was about becoming the person who could hold what heaven wanted to give. And now, you can. Chosen one, before you leave this space. Pause for a moment and feel what is resting over you now. You didn't just read a script, you walked through a spiritual journey. You moved from uncertainty into clarity, from trembling into trust. From wandering into awakening. Something in you is different, and you can feel it. Heaven has settled around you. The angels have finished their record, and your spirit is standing taller than when you began. If this journey touched you, if it met you in a place no one else could see, if it felt like God was speaking directly into the chambers of your heart, then I invite you, gently and sincerely, to help carry this message further. Like this message, so it reaches others who are searching for the same clarity. Share it with someone who may be standing at the edge of their own turning point. Subscribe so you don't miss the next moments heaven is shaping for you. And leave a comment. Your voice may be the confirmation someone else desperately needs to see. Your engagement is not just support. It becomes a spark, a torch, a light placed on another traveler's path. What you felt here, someone else is praying for. Let your presence here ripple outward. Let your voice join the echo. Let your light continue. The work heaven started in you. You are chosen, and now you help others rise too.